Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, July 1st. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. The live stream. All right, so what do we have here? Well, yesterday the market spent the day rotating in a painfully tight range, going nowhere until that sweet M period spike brought us up to higher prices here. So this morning, spike rules are in play. Spike rules basically tell us that if the market opens above the spike, which it currently is, just barely by a few ticks, that is bullish for continuation to the upside. If it opens inside the spike, that is sort of neutral and often leads to two-sided trade. And then if it opens below the spike, that would be bearish for continuation to the downside. Okay, so opening above yesterday's range is opening above that spike, which is bullish. Okay, so the spike rules are bullish. Looks like we're right on the edge here a minute before the opening bell, so it's too early to call. But if we open above yesterday's range, there'll be a gap. Look for the gap to fill, then look for support at the high. If we open below, we open inside of yesterday's range, look for some chop early in the morning. I would say, as far as support for the upside, if the market trades back down into this range from yesterday, even though we have the poor low and all these other weak references that we've just been stacking on top of each other one after another, even with that stuff, I think the market, if it's going to continue higher, if this momentum is going to continue again, would find support in this node of volume from yesterday, where the extremely prominent POC for regular trading hours is. So that's right there around that 42.8425 level. So on a push lower into yesterday's range, if the market finds support here, this will be a very good long trade for continuation higher. Okay, we are opening inside of yesterday's range. We're just like right on that line. So I would say expect chop here. Internals are opening bullish, but let's give them a half an hour to settle in. Oh, no, the market did open above yesterday's range. Okay, so it opened 2 ticks above yesterday's range, which is bullish. Terrible taper at the low, though. I do expect the market will need to come back down and backfill this one level with only 6 contracts. So once again, as it comes down to backfill that level with only 6 contracts, look for support in here. Anywhere inside the spike or at the base of the spike, very strong potential support for upside continuation. Same thing with that prominent POC. So if the market comes down here, it repairs this weakness, then it seems to be finding support. It's a good long trade. A failure of this node of volume is a good short trade to repair the poor low. As always, if an all-time high is made in the overnight, it is considered weak and in need of repair, just because every time, always in the entire history of the stock market, that's what's happened. Doesn't have to happen today. Important note, it could take weeks to get back up there and repair it, but it does always get repaired. All right, guys. Well, the market is trying to push higher. It's looking bullish, but it still needs to come down, in my opinion, and fix this taper at the low with only 6 contracts. So look for it to come in here and create some better taper. Could find support in this node of volume that we created in the M period, if not the base of the spike. Let's pop over and take a quick look at the NQ, see what it's doing this morning. Okay, the NQ looks very rotational here. So remember, excess leads to balance. So this big push higher has caused the market to need to go rotational to create some balance. So you are forming a balancing area. Let me just get my drawing tool up and running here. So this is essentially your balancing area right here. Okay. And so if the market, essentially as long as the market needs to stay stuck in this area, it will. But a breakout to the upside would be very bullish, or a breakout to the downside would be very bearish. Okay? So kind of keep that, you can almost draw that box around that area right there where most of the volume has taken place. That is the balancing area. So today, if the market remains bullish, it could push up and out of there. That would show that this was just the balance the market needed to prepare for another push higher, and would be very bullish. NQ also making a new all-time high in the overnight. Okay, back to the ES. Good morning, RK Leon. Good to see you. Ashik is here. Good morning. Thank you, RK, for the reminder. Everybody smash that like button. Likes bring luck. If you smash the like, you'll make lots of money today. Likes bring luck. Nor Auto Trading, good morning to you. Malcolm is here. Good to see you. Akbar, good morning to you. Amico is here. Good to see you. Chris is back with us. Good morning to you. Design Knob is here. Brady, good morning. Brady, I don't know what that means. What does a overnight all-time high mean? Speedboat, good morning to you. Trading Donkey, good to see you. Welcome. Philip is here. Good morning. Marco, good morning. Trading Donkey, would I consider a short because of the taper at the low? I wouldn't have. That's just not the way I would jump into a trade. But that would be a perfectly legitimate trade. To me, going from 2,000 contracts to 6 is not good taper. And a very good piece of market-generated information that the two-way auction process did not get to come to a close down here. So it's too low probability for me to short it, but it will certainly stop me from going long. It'll stop me from getting FOMO-y during that big push that we just had higher. Okay? $777 Athletic. Good morning to you and welcome. You're asking what's the best book to read on Market Profile? Do 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 do. Just waiting for something to load here. Do 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 do. If you guys want to, if you're curious about books, you can head to piratetraders.io/books, and I got my recommendations up there. You can also just go to piratetraders.io and then click on resources books. The book I recommend for market profile is this one right here. It's called Markets in Profile by Jim Dalton. And that to me is the clearest and easiest and most straightforward of all the market profile books. He also has one he wrote earlier called Mind Over Markets, which is really good. But a lot of the important concepts from that book are covered in this one. So I recommend this book. Okay. Akbar, I didn't mention it because it didn't really matter. The overnight activity wasn't that important, just because I was more focused on where our market was opening. Was it going to open inside of yesterday's range or above yesterday's range based on the spike? But now that you've brought it up, yes, overnight inventory, almost 100% net long. Okay. They opened down here. They closed up here. Actually, no, you're right. Not 100%, maybe 75% long, right? They were able to push the price from there to there. But we got no counter auction at all based on that. And I think that has to do just with the fact that we were right at the high of yesterday. And so that was the market's focus. Remember, traders will do what works until it doesn't, right? This weird, unexplainable momentum that the market has had, it's working. It's working. Look, every day it works. They balance all day long. They spike higher at the end of the day. The overnight rotates. Then we open. We balance. We spike higher. I mean, just at one after another. Every day it's the same story. And it's been working for them. So no reason they won't continue one more day. But that being said, this is a lot of weakness below us. Jim Dalton just put out a tweet this morning saying it's the craziest thing he's ever seen in 30 plus years. Okay? This is a lot of weakness to leave behind. So I do feel like a correction in the market is due, but it doesn't have to happen today. This momentum can continue. Okay? Good morning, Dr. Vijay. Good morning, John. Good morning, De Enter Casto. Good morning to you. Kim, good morning. Brady, you must be responding to the overnight high, the all-time high in the overnight market. They do always get repaired 100% of the time, but it doesn't have to happen today. Important note, although it sure looks like that's what they want to do. Okay, so in a when what should happen doesn't, the lack of attempt to repair this taper, even though the market came right back down to the opening price, is a bullish sign. It should have repaired. The fact that it didn't means that there is momentum buyers buying it up. Buying it up. What? They're buying it up. Yeah. Buying it up. The market. They're buying it up. Yeah. Buying it up. Let's see if they can keep it above the zero line on the ticks. NQ also looking like it's about to break out of that sort of balancing area. Okay. Call that getting above yesterday's high. So all signals feel bullish, but keeping in mind traders will do what works until it doesn't. The pattern recently has been to push higher for the first 2 time periods, then pull back into it and rotate. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's okay to go long here, but just with very tight stops. Akbar, yeah, I trade through news. I like to know, I like to know when there's news happening, but I don't really care what it is, and I certainly don't wait for it. I will see the reaction to the news in the market. Design nub. Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels weird. You know, being that I've really only started trading market profile for the last like year, plus a few months. I feel like I'm constantly saying shit like, this isn't what the market's supposed to do. This is strange behavior. Like, I keep saying stuff like that. And it feels like I should stop saying it because it's always strange. But there really has been a lot of unusual behavior in the market lately. Marco, yeah. So as you know, the more and more weakness that builds up below us, it's not going to stop me from going long the market. If I feel bullish, if I feel like the market wants to push higher, I'm just not going to try to hold it for that long. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like, well, I don't swing trade anyway, but it wouldn't be like a swing trade where I would just enter and leave it and let it run. I'm aware of the fact that at any moment, like a firecracker, if this thing just starts to fall, if it starts breaking weak reference, it gets a liquidation break. Say it repairs these weak references, comes down here, repairs this poor low. Then new sellers pile on. Boom, 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 boom. Before you know it, in a day or two, we can be all the way down here at 42.30, no problem, in the blink of an eye. So the reason I point all this out is just to make you aware of it. Don't short for it yet, but when it comes, don't let it surprise you. Good morning, Jose. Normal, good morning to you. Yeah, Akbar, I don't see it as being a man with balls trading through a report. My point is that the way I trade, every trade I ever enter in the market, I am considering a possibility for the market to push higher, push lower, or just rotate sideways. So if I'm long the market and some news comes out and the market starts to sell off, I've already got a plan for that. I don't care, right, about being in a trade, because a trade can go against me at any time for any reason, and I'm prepared for it. That's part of how I trade. I prepare for being wrong. So if I enter a trade long and the news comes out and it goes my way and the market takes off, I can make a huge sum of money very quickly, and it's just dumb luck, right? So I protect myself against the loss. No matter what happens to the downside, I'm safe. But there is huge potential reward to the upside. So it's not about having balls. It's about being a disciplined trader. But yes, I also have huge balls. Good morning, Rob. Good to see you. Thank you, Revolution, for the update. Good to know. Okay, well, good market internals here. The NQ is pulling back, but the ES looks okay. So let's take a look at the NQ. So it's rejecting just off that high, that balancing area that I was discussing before. So that's a sign that further rotation is necessary here before the market will be ready to push higher. I mean, pretty much look for support right where you found it in the first A period low, right in this node of volume from 629. That's likely to act as good support here. I would say the market pushing below the lowest node of this volume, so below like 14,509, that would start to get bearish, right? Because again, this is the balancing area here. Getting below it, coming back up and finding resistance would lead to a huge downside continuation, okay? So you want to try to stay above this level here. Okay, back to the ES. RK, is that based on the huge balls comment? Nap Trader, good to see you, brother. Happy July. Algo Lover. Buyers maintain the bid above 42.83. Then target is 43.12. Must be a fib. If 42.83 breaks, then anticipate a deeper pullback. There you go. Yeah, that node of volume from yesterday I was talking about this morning. This should act as support on a pullback into yesterday's range because it was such a prominent POC. So if it does not, then yes, you're definitely going to go down and at least repair that poor low, if not the weakness below that. So I agree. Thank you, Algo. All right, we got good taper on the high here. So that doesn't mean this is the high of the day, but that if it was, it would be a good high. Akbar, to answer your question, does a good high, it doesn't really mean anything in terms of taking trades. It's just every time the market makes a high or a low, I ask myself the question, is that a good high or low? So to me, this is a bad low because it has bad taper. So that increases the odds that the market wants to come down here and repair that. But the good high means the market doesn't need to come back up there. Now, that doesn't stop it from coming up there. That's not bearish in any way, shape, or form. It just means it doesn't need to come back up there. So there's no like magnet pulling price that way. Whereas there is a little magnet down here trying to pull price lower. Does that make sense? A lot of what I look at is just adding pieces of information to an overall narrative. No one piece of information really matters. It's everything on top of each other. Got it, algo lover. Yeah, I mean, Donkey may not want to wait for the taper. The taper's not a strong enough thing. Right now, what's catching my eye more is the NQ. But if the NQ gets bullish here, it'll push the ES higher. So say the NQ getting above this node of volume, then pulling back down and finding support there. That will give the ES room to run. Okay, we got a poor high here in the B period. Market often pushes away from a poor high. So if it doesn't, if it immediately pushes back above and repairs it, that is bullish. David Cooper, do you watch time frames in intraday options? I notice a lot of head fakes beginning and after the expiration. Beginning and after the expiration. So do you mean like because the monthly options expired yesterday and because this is the start of a new month? Am I thinking about it differently? No, not really. Yeah, I'll go look for. I think he's talking about in terms of like regular trading hours trade, so stuff that happens during the open hours in New York. It tends to have a larger influence on where the market goes. So repairing a weak reference or whatever during the regular trading hours is much more potent than doing it in the overnight. And so I think Donkey's just saying that like that 30 minutes or so before the market opens, or I guess hour and a half before the market opens, could be looked at as a little bit more carrying a little more weight. My pleasure, David. Keep them coming. Donkey. Are you saying overnight traders are playing craps in an alley and we're at the Bellagio? Oh, that's great. All right, so now the market is one time framing higher here. That is the repair of the poor high. That is bullish to see. Okay. Value is higher. That is bullish as well. We got a all-time high made in the overnight market, a weak reference above. So other than the NQ being rotational and the ES having that that bad taper at the low, this all looks pretty bullish to me. So I'll be looking for the market to find support when it pulls back down into this node around 42.99. Donkey, do you ever take overnight trades? I don't think I've ever found out what kind of trader you are. Are you a swing trader or are you like just an intraday trader like me? Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, like a really obvious trade presents itself. I do that from time to time as well. I just don't ever really look at the market until the next morning. Normal, yep, that's what I mentioned. It took me a second to figure out what you're talking about, but yeah, this little circle, this little section right here of volume where all the red candles are, that should be support. So if the market gets down in there and it doesn't seem like it's going any lower, I would go long. Well, normal, yeah, this is support that we're building here, but just keep an eye on that NQ, right? If that NQ falls down below that balancing area that I was talking about earlier, so pour low on the NQ here. So that's basically this node of volume down here around 14,510-ish. If it breaks below that, okay, and then it pushes back up and it starts to get some resistance in here, that could be a very potent short just because we have a balancing area and we have rules for balancing areas. Breaking out to the downside, coming back up and finding resistance, that is bearish for further downside continuation. Okay? So if that were to happen, if the NQ were to start a massive sell-off here, that would bring the ES with it, or at least hold the ES kind of stuck where it is, right? So yes, this does look like this is support building here, but I'm very cautiously optimistic because of the NQ's weakness. Also, we're having that weird divergence like we had yesterday where the ticks are trending higher while the market is pushing lower. So they're buying the underlying stocks, but they're doing something with the options that are causing the market to push lower. Interesting. Look at that. One tick below that level I mentioned. Find support. So hopefully this can hold and this market just rotates back up. That would be bullish for the ES. Miles, are you asking the NQ falling? What does it mean? I don't mean to sound like a dick when I say this, but it just means that people are selling those stocks. The stocks that make up the NQ, they're selling, but they're buying up, the other stocks in the S&P 500, which is keeping it sitting where it's at. Oh, yeah, Miles. Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to wrap my mind around. Sorry, if you guys aren't in the private room, it's something I was talking about yesterday in the private room. I've never really seen these kind of divergences before that I've seen in the last few days, where the ticks are doing one thing and the price action is doing the exact opposite. I mean, they don't always correspond perfectly. Sometimes there is divergence, but not like this. Not where literally one market is trending down while its ticks are trending higher. That's really bizarre to me. But what to do with that information, I don't know yet. Still trying to figure it out. Okay, so if we pull below this node of volume, I'm going to switch myself back to neutral. I won't be necessarily looking for long trades exclusively anymore because that will likely take the market rotational here. Once again, remember, traders do what works until it doesn't. For the whole last week, pushing higher in the first two time periods and then pulling back in and rotating has been the norm. Yeah, the more you bring it up, Donkey, the more I love your cessation trades. You're right. You got your lowest node of volume right there at the POC. So if it's going to pull back in, it'll find support in those pink just below it. So you enter right there. You only have to risk that much. It's a great trade. All right, guys. Well, as we're getting ready to print the C period here in 1 minute, keep in mind that one time framing. Okay, so if the C period prints here, as long as it stays above that B period low, the market will continue to trend higher. Okay, but if it pulls back down and it gets 2 ticks below that B period low, the market is likely to go rotational. Okay, so if that happens, if the market starts to go rotational, keep a close eye on that balancing area low that I discussed earlier on the NQ, and keep an eye on this POC, this prominent POC from last night on the ES. If the market pushes down to here and it does not find support here, it trades through this level and continues lower, this could set us up for a massive sell-off, right? It almost guarantees we repair this first poor low left behind yesterday. And that has potential to bring in more sellers that pile on and push us lower and lower and lower. Okay? So that doesn't mean don't be optimistic today. Don't assume we'll have a day like every other where the market just rotates around here. and then it pushes higher at the end of the day in the M period, that's totally still possible. Just don't forget that this weakness exists below. Okay? All right, guys. Well, with that, I shall bid you farewell. I wish you all the best. Happy trading. Make lots and lots of monies today. And if you are a member of the Brigade, head on over to the website, and I will see you in about 5 minutes. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.